Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Extra Serving, a Nation's Restaurant News podcast. I'm your host, Holly Petrie. This week, we're going to be talking about the new battleground for QSR, sauces. McDonald's announced its new Big Mac sauce will be available on anything and everything, and in a dipping cup, while Chick-fil-A expanded the retail rollout of its sauces along with new merchandise line. Are sauces the next war? We will discuss that, since some of us hate the word war. Next, we'll be talking about the new McDonald's Best Burgers Ever. These burgers include fluffier buns, more Big Mac sauce on its Big Macs, and a new grilling process for its patties. Is this really the best burger ever from McDonald's? Plus, hear about our latest showdown on nrn.com and vote either on our LinkedIn page or Instagram page. This week's guest is Scott Uehlein, Vice President of Culinary Excellence and Innovation at Mod Pizza. And now it's time to introduce my two co-hosts.
I am Sam Okus, Editor-in-Chief of Nation's Restaurant News.
And I'm Leanne Zinsmeister, Managing Editor of Nation's Restaurant News.
And now it's time to turn it over to this week's sponsor. Belgioioso Cheese is a family-owned and operated company specializing in artisan Italian cheesemaking. Using only natural ingredients and fresh, local Wisconsin milk, master cheesemakers handcraft a full line of exceptional cheeses, guided by a commitment to quality and a respect for tradition. Ask your distributor about Belgioioso's award-winning fresh mozzarella, burrata, ricotta, mascarpone, American grana, and Parmesan. At Belgioioso, every cheese is a specialty. All right, guys, welcome to this week's episode. We are all here. I've had a rough week, but everybody else is here and looks happy. So, well, Sam never looks happy, but Leanne looks nice and happy.
I am happy, Holly. It's a great week for me.
I take this as a compliment, I guess. I don't know.
Sam's going to be stuck on that for the rest of this.
Maybe I've told you this before, but somebody once told me I have resting grump face, which I don't know. I think I should embrace that. It is the eyebrows for sure. Somebody once told me I have sinister eyebrows. So
Sinister.
The person who told me that, and shall remain nameless because they are in this industry, was also very inebriated when they told me that. So they probably don't remember saying it, but I take it as a compliment. I think sinister eyebrows is pretty cool, and also my next band name.
Cool. Oh, that's a good band name, Sinister Eyebrows.
It's also funny because sinister is pretty low on the list of adjectives I would use to describe you, Sam.
Thank you. I think, although sinister could be something to aspire to.
Is it though?
Why don't you?
Like Disney villain.
I'm way too much on a Star Wars kick right now because Jude, my 4-year-old son, is really getting into Star Wars. So now I'm into Star Wars again because of course I've always been into Star Wars. And sinister, it's that sinister is like a word you describe for the Star Wars villains. So I'm into it.
In a surprise to no one, I've never seen Star Wars.
Yeah, we know.
I
feel like we knew that before you ever said the words.
Yeah,
that's why I said in a surprise to no one. I was very self-aware of that, but
it's less surprising than you hadn't visited like a Wendy's or Taco Bell before. Like,
no, but I drove by a McDonald's drive-thru this morning and it was packed. It was in the Bronx and it was packed, and so I must say people were really loving their McDonald's drive-thru this morning at 8:30 in the morning.
There is a reason they do $40 billion in sales every single year.
There was like a really long line. Well, next door is a Burger King, and the Burger King next door doesn't have a drive-thru. So clearly there is a real impetus to use the drive-thru there.
Just a quick plug since you brought it up. One of our Power List members, Claire Andrew, general manager at McDonald's in, I believe, the Bronx. I wonder if that was hers. I mean, there's probably a lot of McDonald's in the Bronx, but still.
There are a lot of McDonald's in the Bronx.
Shout out to Claire Andrew, general manager of one of the McDonald's in the Bronx, and go read more about her on the Power List. Anyway, shameless plug.
Claire's restaurant is actually in Queens.
Aren't those the same thing?
You can't make fun of me for saying the middle of the country if you think they're the same thing.
I would like to say it is worse to not be able to identify other states on a map than to confuse two boroughs of New York City. Thank you very much.
You get bonus points for knowing their boroughs, but they are different boroughs.
Like
not
the
same borough.
It's not even like Queens and Brooklyn, which touch because they're the same island.
Landmass, yeah.
All the same to me.
Lovely. Thanks for
that. Next time you come visit, we'll put you up in the Bronx and we'll
sign
what you're
the rest
on.
of the country.
Yeah, we'll just stay in the Bronx or Queens.
I'm just saying, if you're trying to shout out one of our power listers, like she's one of the 8 million people who is going to care if you get the borough right.
Fair enough. My shout out to Claire Andrew of McDonald's remains. So
Good.
whatever borough
she's great.
She's great.
The borough is Queens. Let me tell you, some coworkers who would be very upset that you confuse the Bronx and Queens. Some coworkers who live in Queens who would be very upset by that.
Anyway, rolling right along.
Rolling right along to more McDonald's news.
Let's do it.
Look at that segue.
Great.
Wasn't even intentional. I just was thinking about the McDonald's
platter. Silver platter segue right there.
Yeah, but I did it for myself. I gave myself a silver platter. You're welcome, Holly.
I feel like it starts to lessen the effect the more you talk about it.
For sure.
Guys, I have like 3 brain cells at this point, so we're really running on empty. So McDonald's now has their Big Mac sauce, of which surprisingly I've never had. But their Big Mac sauce is now available in dipping cups, and you can get it on any sandwich now. I guess you could only get it on Big Macs before, but now you can get a Big Mac on sauce on any sandwich, which I feel like it'd be good on their chicken sandwich, just putting that out there. So there's just a free plug for their chicken sandwich to get with Big Mac sauce, because I feel like it'd be delicious. Isn't it basically like Russian dressing?
Have you ever had either of these things?
No.
Like, it probably is delicious, but what standing do you have to make that claim?
The most sold, I mean, probably the most popular fast food item of all time. I haven't checked the numbers, but I would say it's probably safe to say there have been more Big Macs sold than any other fast food item, right?
What makes the Big Mac special? Is it the sauce?
It's 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Come on, Holly. That's like, I could do that from my childhood.
Yeah, but I wasn't born then.
But that's like the jingle, anyway, special sauce, 2 all-beef patties, special sauce. Yes, it's Big Mac sauce. It is very delicious. I can confirm I've had many Big Macs, and it's one of the key reasons that Big Macs are so successful, because the rest of the ingredients are what they are, but the special sauce is what makes it a Big Mac. And if you were to blind taste test, all the burgers of the industry, I think it would be very easy to pick the Big Mac out of that lineup because of that special sauce. So for all those people who are obsessed with Big Macs primarily because of its special sauce, this is a big deal, because now they can get it and, take it home with them and put it on other things. And it makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised they haven't done it yet. Maybe they have done this before and this is just coming back, but it's
right. It is kind of a shock that they're doing this now and that it hasn't been done earlier, because the dipping cup is just like, you could dunk your chicken nuggets in that. You can it's just so dunkable, and it's their Big Mac sauce is what they're apparently known for. But I mean, I wonder how the Big Mac sauce stacks up to the Chick-fil-A, the Chick-fil-A sauce and the Shake Shack sauce, which are all proprietary sauces. So I wonder how they all stack up next to each other.
I mean, there's so many proprietary sauces. I mean,
but those are the 3 big ones.
No. I'm sorry, Shake Shack. All due respect to Shake Shack. I love you, Shake Shack. But these 2 New Yorkers who think that you are the end-all be-all, what are you talking about?
I didn't say anything about Shake Shack.
I mean, what are you talking about, Holly? It's fine. It's great, but it is not among the, elite upper echelon. Anyway, not that I'm all passionate about this or anything, where we've got some strong New York versus anti-New York vibes going on this podcast. But look, as it relates to sauce battles and sauce wars, as we phrased it on nrn.com, Chick-fil-A's sauce, I think, is, besides Big Mac sauce, the preeminent sauce in the certainly QSR space. Because, and as one of the people who has gotten a bottle of Chick-fil-A sauce for my fridge and does dunk every single thing I get from Chick-fil-A into that sauce and makes sure the drive-thru gives me about 10 of those things when I go through that drive-thru, it is a special, delicious sauce. But the point is not necessarily Chick-fil-A's recipe for its sauce and how great it is. The point is that sauce is one of the defining factors of especially QSR companies. Yes, Shake Shack included. But Raising Cane's, I know, is all about, again, their sauce. We've talked about this on the podcast before. I'm a big proponent of Chick-fil-A sauce. Raising Cane's, I think it's good, but Chick-fil-A is a special spot in my heart. Many other restaurants have these sauces that, again, it's like, if you no disrespect to Heinz, but if all you're doing is, getting a ketchup from Heinz or barbecue sauce or something, and you're not coming up with anything proprietary, then you're not differentiating yourself on your menu from all the others that do have proprietary sauces that are very simple recipes, let's face it, but are still very good in identifying of your product. I don't know. I'm a big believer in sauces, clearly.
Are you good there? Are you?
I'll let you take over, Leanne.
Can someone else talk now? Great.
Take a breath. Anyway.
You feel it. All right. He's good. It's also not only about the taste of your proprietary sauce, but it's just as much about marketing. So this McDonald's Big Mac sauce, yes, is going to come in dipping cups, and the dipping cups are designed with their branding from 1968. And so they're also leaning into the nostalgia that we know is so hot among restaurant marketers these days. To your point, Sam, Chick-fil-A sells their sauces in retail. They're adding 2 more sauces to their retail lineup. Get in front of those consumers in places that aren't just your restaurant. Chick-fil-A actually has a whole sauce marketing thing going on right now. They just launched a bunch of merchandise that is about their sauces. I actually am really mad about how much I like those products. It's a fun, bright, colorful branding thing. And so like the marketing, and now people are talking about it, not just because the sauce tastes good, which it does, but because they've got all these marketing things going on out there designed to get people talking about it. And now we've got what Alicia has deemed the sauce wars, which, I'm sorry, just sounds messy.
And awesome. Best kind of wars that you can have.
I feel like they're like dumping out like packets and just like squeezing packets of sauce at each other.
Yeah. We're going to do that at the office next week.
Well, so one thing that Alicia and I talked about on an episode of First Bite this week was that my favorite brand, Taco Bell, also has its own sauces that's very well known for, but it also, to Leanne's point, has its own merchandise line associated with the sauces. It has like pajamas, it has pillows, it has like, they've been known for their sauces for a while, and I feel like they're kind of fading into the background of this sauce war because they haven't done anything new with it in a while. But I mean, like, they are, I think, one of the originators of the sauce category because they have been known for their sauces for so long. I see your look, Sam, but I'm sticking by what I said.
I just want you to fact check that claim. I just where do you get that information? I don't know. But
well, they're one of the first people to have their merchandise line with sauce, which is what I feel like they have, which is why I feel like they're one of the preeminent sauciers.
Oh, that's true. I just don't know if they're one of the first. I don't think we could possibly back up that claim. But anyway, continue.
That was all I had to say.
Oh, okay. I saw a study today that said 80% of podcast listeners expect what they hear on the podcast to be true. So we do have a responsibility to give them facts.
That percentage feels alarmingly low to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 20% just assume it's BS. I don't know. Anyway, that is a side note. That's a tangent. Just to button this up, let's talk about the concept of brand extension, because to your point, Holly, Taco Bell has always done very good on their merchandise. Chick-fil-A is getting into the merchandise game. These are brand extensions because it's like, if you don't want to expand your menu anymore than you already are, if you want to find new ways to innovate, brand extensions are a great way to do it. And I think sauce is a low-hanging fruit because here you already have a recipe. You just have to find essentially a co-packer or somebody to, get this into whatever packaging you deem appropriate and want to sell it as. And then boom, you've got a new brand extension for your most loyal fans. They can take it home with them if it sits in their fridge and they have a party and somebody opens up and they go, whoa, I didn't know Chick-fil-A now bottles their sauces. And you're doing your marketing for you. So it does make a lot of sense, especially for those brands that have a very distinguishable proprietary sauce on hand. And if you don't have a distinguishable proprietary sauce, go get one and then come up with some merchandise to support it.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Maybe sure. We'll talk about your merchandise. Depends on
Make it good. You got to impress Holly, and she's a tough audience.
I was going to say, we'll see.
We will see. Well, so let's continue talking about McDonald's because they're just doing so much this week. They unveiled what they're calling their, quote, best burgers ever, which is, I think a pretty bold claim, personally. And I make some bold claims on this podcast.
Well, it's their best burgers ever. It's not the best burgers ever, right? That was not the claim.
But who's to say that their burger, their first burger they came out with wasn't better than this burger? Like, I feel like we can't use that as a judge because
Well,
no
it's
one's had both burgers.
subjective. Sure, it's subjective, but it's a category of one. So if McDonald's wants to say it, then.
But we were just talking about how McDonald's is how the Big Mac is like one of the most popular burgers sold. So you got to talk about it in terms of like if they're saying it's their best burger ever and they're selling all these burgers, I feel like it's a pretty big claim.
For sure. But, I do think it's interesting if you look at what makes these the best burgers ever. So they've updated their bun, the way they're cooking the patties, and then also there's more sauce, right? Those are the three big things that they've done
Big
to
Mac
make.
sauce specifically.
Okay, Big Mac sauce specifically. Well, think about this. Like the Big Mac, you cannot change that recipe, right? I mean, this is their iconic burger with literally billions sold, literally millions of fans who come to get a Big Mac perhaps every week, if not more often. And if you change that recipe significantly, then they freak because it's different. So I think what's interesting is McDonald's is only tweaking around the edges. They're only improving little bits here and there because you don't want to upset your core loyal customers. You want them to be pleasantly surprised that, oh, this is a little bit better, but it still tastes like the Big Mac, right? So I think that what they've done makes sense, but it would be interesting to do a little taste test with the old Big Mac and the new Big Mac and see if we taste a difference at all in which we prefer. But yeah, this is them tweaking around the edges and then turning it into a marketing campaign, which, hey, respect, that makes a lot of sense. It's not necessarily overhauling their menu or anything.
I mean, I feel like more pillowy buns is just like something everybody wants.
Pillowy buns, my next band name.
I also think like it's kind of smart, like to Sam's point about marketing, which is apparently what I'm talking about today. A lot of companies tweak their recipes like this all the time and don't roll out a big marketing campaign around it or even like say anything about it. And then people go and they notice the difference and they talk about it on social media, which can go one of two ways. They really love it and they're like, wow, these burgers are so much better. Or they don't like it and they feel deceived because nobody told them the burgers were different and now they don't like them as much. And so by talking about it, I think McDonald's is, smartly getting around some of that. And it's, I think, a smart marketing move. I think it will have people go out. So people might say, oh, I haven't had a McDonald's burger in a while. I should go grab one. Or, oh, I wasn't such a big fan of McDonald's burgers before, but like maybe I'll try one now and see if they really are better or whatever. So yeah, I don't even know if like changes of this level normally warrant or, get so much attention. And of course it's McDonald's. So like everything they do, we're going to talk about. But I also think it's probably like the level of menu changes that doesn't get any notice from other brands.
Not to hurt your guys' feelings as New Yorkers. I'll say this gently.
We don't have feelings.
Do you remember when Shake Shack changed their fries? Didn't they go to like from from crinkle fries to steak fries or something like that? Do you don't remember this? This was 6-7 years ago, and their customers revolted. It was a whole backlash. I cannot remember if Shake Shack marketed that or if they made the change silently and then flipped back, but it was a whole thing because they changed their fry. It's one of their core products. They changed the fry and people freaked out. And as I recall, they were changing it to something that I think was more of a like fresh prepared product, but people were obsessed with the crinkle fries and they went back.
They're delicious.
Right. Their crinkle fries are delicious. I agree. But point is like, and again, I do not remember if they marketed it, but it is a bold move for McDonald's to declare the changes they have made, because if people don't like them, it's all the more messy because McDonald's has come out and announced, hey, we made some changes. If you do want to tweak around the edges, one option is to just keep it quiet, because then if nobody really notices, it doesn't become a high profile thing.
The first thing I think about when I think of McDonald's menu changes is when they change their fries, what they cook their fries in. I forget if they were cooking it in like a bad oil or something for the environment, but they changed I was listening to a podcast about this a few years ago. They changed the way that their fries were cooked. And so people now are like, I don't like the way McDonald's fries are cooked anymore. Like it's like a thing that I hear from like consumers all the time. That's just, I don't like the way McDonald's fries are. They used to be so much better. So I feel like maybe they've learned from that, because it's something that I hear from consumers constantly. Like when I bring up McDonald's, they're like, I don't like their fries anymore.
Well, the one lesson I think we take from all this is customers care a lot about how your food tastes. Obviously, that it tastes good, but they're paying attention to small details too. And if it starts to lag, they will notice. So the pressure is on to make sure your food quality stays high, and that if you need to make any changes, which restaurants are making changes all the time, because and especially look at the last couple of years with supply chain disruptions, this is a big deal. You have to change. If you can't get your oil from whatever supplier you get it from, you have to get some oil, and so it is a big deal. And this is a big challenge for restaurants. But I guess ultimately the thing to learn here is, if you change your product too much, your customers will care, and maybe communication is the best way to overcome any potential fallout.
So over communicate basically is what you're saying.
It's always a good lesson. Over communicate.
Why not?
Yeah.
Always a good lesson. We like to over communicate here sometimes.
Sometimes, Holly, you embrace that just a little bit too much.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, Sam, turning to you for our latest showdown. Can you give us a little update on that?
I sure can, Holly. We have launched our Taco Showdown. For those of you loyal listeners and audience members for NRN, you probably know we have done 3 showdowns prior to this. 4 showdowns prior. Are we up to 5?
This is our fourth showdown.
So I was correct in saying we had done 3 prior to this.
Yeah. Prior to this, yes. Weird way to say it.
Yes. Just what he said.
Anyway, we started with a plant-based showdown, which all credit to Holly. That was her idea, and it was very successful and very cool. So we started to do more of them. We did a breakfast showdown, we did a chicken showdown, and now we're doing a taco showdown. And these are a lot of fun because, look, our job is not to be subjective and to say which chain is better than the others, but that won't stop us for asking you to do that. So that's what we're doing. We want to know who's your favorite. We watch a ton of brands all the time. We know literally dozens of taco chains out there that are growing and are exciting. And we've picked 8 of them to put in front of you, the audience, and say, hey, which ones do you think are the most legit? And that's however you define it. I think I tend to define, if I were to pick one favorite of the 8, I would base it on, who do I think is going to become the household name? Who do I think has the best shot at becoming like that brand that sort of transcends nationally to become like, oh my gosh, we got one of these in our backyard, but you can define it however you want. You can define it as best food, best ambiance, best CEO. I don't know, because there's a lot of good CEOs represented on that list too. So if you go check out our Taco Showdown at nrn.com, you can see the 8 brands that we put on the list. And the way we want to hear from you is to go either to our Instagram or our LinkedIn and put in the comments who your favorite is. Bonus points if you tell us why.
Ooh, I like that. I like the little element.
Yeah, just shaking it up.
Just shaking it up a little bit. Yeah. I think the Taco Showdown was really fun. I was editing all the videos and it was making me hungry despite the stomach flu that I had. So I'd say definitely worth looking at those videos and the food because it looked yummy to me through my sickness. So that's really a compliment to these chains that are really innovative and cool.
Good job, taco chains. Delicious even when violently ill.
I'm going to vote for the one that has the best margaritas.
That's fair.
You're going to have to go around and try them all first just to see.
Bummer.
I know.
You've tried a decent amount of these chains though, Leon, right?
What's that?
You've tried a decent amount of these chains. I feel like you are probably our taco connoisseur.
Thank you.
That
means so much to me.
Resident, formerly lived in Texas editor. Although Ron lives in Texas.
We have a current Texas editor. I have been to a great number of these and can vouch for all of their margaritas. So
there you go.
Amazing.
Yeah, I see. That's why I named you our taco connoisseur. I feel like
I've got a list of more taco places to try, which is just like the dream. So
and their food looks so good. Oh my God.
And that's the thing I guess I would add, we do try to diversify these showdown lists, not only service model, but also geographically. So we have these chains are all over the country. So no matter where you are in the US, chances are you have one of these 8 brands somewhere close to you. So definitely go find one, partake in their tacos and margaritas, enjoy yourself, then go vote. Even more fun if you've had a couple of margaritas when you go vote, because you'll probably put a lot more detail into your vote.
Yes. That's what we're looking for here.
Yep.
Lots of exclamation points is what we're really looking for.
Yep. Every exclamation point is one more vote.
Yeah, maybe some emojis. Like, just throw whatever you want in there. It'll be fun.
You can tell we take this very seriously, the showdowns. We have an accountant who's counting the votes and everything.
We actually do, though.
We have 2 people counting votes this time.
Yes, but neither of them are accountants.
It's true, they're not accountants.
That's why we need more people.
We needed a specific accountant.
The worse you are at math, the more people have to do the math.
And by the way, at the time of recording, this showdown's been live for 2 days. And last I heard, voting had already exceeded 500, if not 600. So, and voting is open until April 30th. Holly, is that right?
Voting for round 1 closes April 30th, which is a week from Sunday. We will announce the finalists, 2 finalists, on May 1st. And then you'll get to vote between the finalists for a week. So very exciting. First go vote to pick your favorite of these 8, and then come back to pick your favorite of the 2 finalists. And on May 10th, we will crown a taco winner.
And hopefully go to these establishments and try their tacos. And maybe you can try the tacos and then tell us how they are in the comments.
Yeah, I think we've got 10 days before voting closes. So that's plenty of time to go to all 8 restaurants and eat some tacos.
Jump on an airplane, fly around the country. Best adventure ever for the sake of work.
It's true. I actually think there are none of these taco spots in New York City.
Do you not have a bar taco?
It's out in the suburbs.
Oh. God forbid you should travel to the suburbs.
I was just there, so I'm over it right now.
I've been to Bar Taco in Miami.
Ooh, how exotic.
How exotic?
Yeah, Miami exotic.
Okay.
We do our listeners a disservice in sharing our geographical preferences.
Really just Holly's. All
Miami,
I said was Miami.
So exotic. Wow, beach town.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like that a lot of the times. Like, wow, beach town.
Beach town is more accurate than exotic.
We got to get Holly out around the country more often.
You got to invite me more places, Sam.
We'll see.
We take Holly plenty of places.
That's true. Just not Miami.
What?
Miami. Come on, guys. All right, well, I'm going to throw it over to Brett, who interviewed Scott Uehlein, the Vice President of Culinary Excellence and Innovation at Mod Pizza. They talk about their new pockets. So it's very exciting. Lots of handheld things going on now.
Food pockets. Food pockets. He is not talking about the pockets in their pants.
My leggings have pockets.
I mean, maybe they are talking about the pockets in their pants. I haven't listened yet.
That would be a really incredible conversation if Brett talked to Scott about actual pockets.
You know what? You'll have to listen and see.
Okay.
Fine.
Thanks, guys, for joining me today, and I will see you next week.
Thanks, Holly.
Bye.
Belgioioso Cheese is a family-owned and operated company specializing in artisan Italian cheesemaking. Using only natural ingredients and fresh, local Wisconsin milk, master cheesemakers handcraft a full line of exceptional cheeses, guided by a commitment to quality and a respect for tradition. Ask your distributor about Belgioioso's award-winning fresh mozzarella, burrata, ricotta, mascarpone, American grana, and Parmesan. At Belgioioso, every cheese is a specialty.
I was in your neck of the woods a few months ago. I did a pizza crawl with Mike of Mike's Hot Honey.
Nice.
Dude. And man, we saw some great cup and char pepperoni. We saw some great pizzas, some artisan crusts, and it's pretty cool. I mean, look, you live in a melting pot of awesome food.
Well, I will recommend in my neighborhood, if you're in Park Slope ever, go to Antonio's.
Okay.
Which, I mean, it's just a good place to get a slice. And it's been the same place for the 24 years that I've been in the neighborhood. And it's run by Albanians. And
great.
It's just a yummy slice, which is...
Are you of the opinion that a reheated slice is really an awesome slice of pizza?
Yes. Well, can be an awesome
Can
slice of
be,
pizza.
can be, yeah, can be.
The downside is that slice pizzerias tend to undercook their pies. So when you order a pie to be delivered,
Yes,
you're done.
yes, you got to ask for it well done. So we've got one in Oklahoma City that way. We figured that out. You learn that the hard way pretty quickly.
Yes, yes. You know, my only back of the house job was at a pizza place
Really?
in Denver called
Okay.
Pizza Bug because they
Okay.
delivered the pizza in Volkswagen Bugs.
Oh.
And so I became a little bit of a crust snob. Like, cook your pizza.
Yeah.
Cook it
No,
through.
I get it. And that's, I mean, I do have to say the advantage Mod has is we're cooking it on a deck, you know. I mean, so you get that nice crispy crust on the bottom. It's hard to replicate that.
Well, that's why all of these sort of they're called impinger ovens, right?
Yeah, impingers, that's right.
That kind of created the fast casual restaurant pizza thing.
Yeah.
Although it's funny, years ago, as this was starting to happen, I got a call from a reporter in Germany who was wondering why these pizzas, these specific pizzas, the category that Mod Pizza's in, calls them customizable. He said, "Aren't all pizza customizable?" And yes, indeed, Mr. German reporter, they are.
Yes, but there's a lot more toppings in this customizable pizza, on this customizable pizza than on others.
Well, and I want to dig into that, but first I want to ask you about pepperoni because you mentioned it, cup and jar pepperoni.
Yeah,
I keep seeing different restaurant chains that put multiple types of pepperoni on one pizza.
Yep.
Why would you do that?
I think that you have a crispy, you've got a chewy, you've got a flavor profile, you've got savory, you have smoky. So I mean, I'm a fan of that. I don't do it right now, but I believe that the cup and char pepperoni is a completely different eating experience. But I also believe, and this is probably based on some of the observation I had when I was out there in your neck of the woods recently, I think you got to have sort of classic as well as cup and char. Otherwise, cup and char is really crunchy and really savory, but charred, right? You know, I think you want that soft, classic pepperoni experience too. One person's opinion.
One person's opinion, who is the corporate chef of Mod Pizza.
Right.
With hundreds of locations. How many Mod Pizzas are there now?
540-ish.
My goodness. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a few.
But you're coming from a much larger chain, Sonic Drive-In.
That's right. 3,600.
3,600. And before that, you were at Canyon Ranch, which was one. You were just responsible for one Canyon Ranch location, right?
Yeah, no, I was the VP of food and beverage, and there's two destination resorts. There's Las Vegas with a couple of restaurants, and at the time that I was there, we had cruise ships, or we had Canyon Ranches aboard cruise ships. So that was, really, that was sort of a big beast because you're doing food programs for floating hotels, which is a whole different deal. I speak like I'm an expert. I'm not, but the challenges of that were pretty amazing.
So you had multiple restaurants to oversee in that job also.
Yes. And, we actually went and put pizza ovens in most of the restaurants at Canyon Ranch. And we did a lot of stuff in it, right? I mean, we roasted vegetables, we roasted proteins, we did pizzas, we did flatbreads and all the usual stuff as well. But, the ovens, the wood-fired ovens or the deck-type ovens are really versatile. And, we roast vegetables now at Mod. We roast garlic, we roast corn, and there's nothing quite like it. When it's roasted fresh, it's delicious.
Oh, these are gas powered or electrical?
Yes. Yep.
Are they gas or electrical, or does it depend?
No, they're gas. Okay. They're gas. And so your heat comes sort of up the side. So it's very much heat reminiscent. You don't maybe have the wood flavor, but it's heat that's very reminiscent of a wood fire, right? So it mimics the heat source and sort of that top heat that a wood fired oven mimics.
And how long have you been at Mod Pizza now? It's been a little while.
So I've been like 9 months. So I mean, it's we're making progress. I'm making progress.
Good job. Yeah, I've been asking you to be on the podcast probably since before you got to
9 months. Yeah. I apologize. That, but
All
I
right.
needed stuff to talk about. It takes a little while to get your feet on the ground, get the pipeline rolling, and do some cool stuff.
Absolutely. So why did you join Mod Pizza?
Pizza's a blank slate. And I mean, you can do anything with it. Mod, I personally like mods. It's at a very interesting time in its life. I like Mod because it is an artisan product. It is going on a deck. I like Mod because we have a lot of SKUs already in the restaurant, you know what I mean? And people can customize, but even as you look at flavor combinations and say, hey, look, this, and this as a base pizza works really well. And of course we have salads too. And so, I mean, in some ways I'm kind of combining my past and my past life at Kenya Ranch and my more present life in QSR, because we have a lot of vegetables. We are definitely a plant forward, or can be a plant forward concept. So I think there's it's ripe for innovation. Pizza's ripe for innovation, and we're ripe for innovation at Mod, and we're doing some cool stuff. We're able to do cool stuff, and a brand of this size and where we are, and having pizzas and salads and then a couple of desserts and things like that. We're looking to see how we expand the menu. There's not, you're looking strategically, saying, listen, what are the areas that we can expand the menu? There's not a lot of restaurant chains that are looking to expand the menu, right? To say, hey, where else do we need to play in the category? So when you sort of think through that, you're coming from a different place, different challenges, but different challenges in a way that is exciting and fun, especially as somebody who's creative.
Well, it's true that most restaurants are consolidating them.
Yeah, that's right.
Streamlining and doing less and doing it better.
And look, my hat is off, and we did a fair amount of that at Sonic too. My hat is off to that. I'm not indicting or judging. I'm saying that everybody does what they need to do. We're just in a different place. So, the platform for innovation is broader, wider, and you can go in a lot of different directions.
Well, it sounds like you're setting us up to talk about the new pocket pie. So
yes,
why don't I feel like you strategize that, and I respect that. So let's talk about the pocket pie. I have the not yet released press release in front of me, but I haven't read it. So why don't you just tell me what's happening?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, this is a foray, and look, pizza can arguably be called handheld, right? But it's not necessarily portable. So the idea that you take a fantastic artisan product like we have, like a dough that we have, and you turn it into something portable. I mean, this isn't. It's sort of a no-brainer, right? So I mean, we can bring in a SKU, and in this case, the SKU we brought in was cheddar cheese, and nice quality cheddar cheese, and you turn it into something that's completely different. So it's a folded mini pizza, and we've got three mannequin builds. The first one is a chicken bacon ranch, which is sort of funny, right? Because that's a play right out of fast food. But hey, look, I mean, consumers, who doesn't love bacon and ranch on something, right?
There's a reason that every place has chicken bacon ranch.
Yeah, of course. And so we're happy to do that. We've got a 4 cheese, and then we've got an Italiano, which is a little bit more, artisan, or a little more traditional. But the beauty is, look, in our world, it's so much about the operation, right? So you're trying to operationalize a new platform. You say, all right, how are we going to do it? We need to do it in a way that the restaurants already know how to do it. So you're effectively making a pizza. It comes out, it's scored, it's folded. In the case of the Italiano, that one's actually finished with arugula and red sauce. And I'll take you through each of the builds individually, but the chicken bacon ranch is, it kind of is what it is. I will say this: we have a great white sauce. So we actually start each of the builds with a white sauce, sort of an Alfredo style sauce, and it makes it sort of creamy and indulgent and delicious. But it's white sauce. What's that?
Different from pizza, because pizza has red sauce traditionally.
That's right. And cheddar, right? So it's white sauce and cheddar. So you end up with this super creamy quesadilla kind of amalgamation that's delicious. It goes in the oven as a pizza. It comes out as a pizza. So it's not outside of what we normally do. I mean, there's a few new steps because we asked the squad to fold it, but it comes out, it gets scored, it gets folded. So we've got the chicken bacon ranch, we've got the 4 cheese, which starts also with the white sauce and cheddar. It's got a little mozzarella, Asiago, and Parmesan. And then the Italiano, which is a little more authentic or traditional Italian one, that starts with the white sauce, but it starts with traditional mozzarella. From there, we put pepperoni and salami on there. We put some fresh basil. I got tomatoes, roasted peppers. Goes in the oven, comes out, finished with fresh arugula and red sauce, raw red sauce, because I have a thing. I mean, I love cooked tomato sauce, but I have a thing for our red sauce because it's so umami. It's like you don't have to do anything else to it, right? So it goes on there and it kind of dresses the arugula, and you bite into that, and it's everything you want it to be.
And that's why you put the red sauce on at the end, because you like it raw.
It's exactly right, because it's anything raw versus cooked is completely different, right? Especially tomatoes. I mean, I love cooked tomatoes, love to roast them in my oven, and love to put them in pasta or whatever it may be. But it's just different than a raw tomato, I mean, so you're actually using the red sauce as like a dressing.
So this isn't a calzone where it's folded and then baked.
No,
it's a different thing.
No, it's not. But look, I mean, it straddles the line. But I would say this, because our dough is a thin dough, it almost straddles the line between quesadilla and calzone, right? To me, I like a calzone. The issue I have with calzones, they tend to sog out to me on the bottom. I mean, which I don't love, especially if I'm taking it away. Now, I mean, in your neck of the woods in New York, you probably don't see it as much, but we're super fast, right? Mod's super fast pizzas. So I can't spend 20 minutes, baking a calzone. So this, you sort of get the best of both worlds, and it stays crispy when you fold it. And so you get that bite, doesn't sog out the way sometimes you get in a calzone.
It sounds a little bit like the way New Yorkers eat pizza anyway, where we take a slice, we fold it in half.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's interesting because it is our first foray into a handheld. It's what New Yorkers have been doing for a long time. I grew up in New Jersey, so I get it. But I mean, it also, we're testing it and say, hey, listen, what else can we do with this with? I mean, when it's a handheld, a walk around, you can eat it with one hand, as opposed to a pizza that sort of seems to be a two-handed proposition, or with some people it's a knife and fork. But that's a whole other thing. We don't need to unpack that. Yeah, I mean, it's oddly a different eating experience. And because you live in New York, and a folded pizza just eats differently than a slice.
When I learned something at a Neapolitan restaurant that serves pizza, obviously, about how to eat one of those slices, because they're soggy in the middle, they flop. So you pick it up and it drips on your shirt. There's nothing.
Yeah.
So I asked one of the servers who was
from Naples, how to do it. Right.
What do you do? So what they do, similar to New York, in fact, maybe that's where New Yorkers learned it, but they take that little soggy end, flip it up onto the rest of the pie, and then or on the rest of the slice, and then they fold it. So again, different eating experience.
So my thing was, and this is obviously I'm doing it wrong, because I would pick it up, fold it, I'd allow it to flop, and I would get my head under it just in time. But the problem is I would inevitably burn my mouth.
Excuse me, but that's fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right. It's battle scars.
Yeah, and burning your mouth isn't necessarily fun, but dripping something into your mouth.
Sure.
So now you know how at least this one guy from Naples does it.
It's the flip.
Yes, you got to.
I like it
up first. So, what were there things that surprised you about Mod Pizza when you got there? It's been 9 months, so maybe you forgot.
Just how good the crust is and how versatile the crust is. I mean, some of the things we've done with that crust, it's like, wow, that's really cool. I mean, when you think about platforms and what we can do with it, it can be a lot of different things. I mean, first unlock obviously is the pocket pie, but it can be, it could be a base to other things. It can be a snacking kind of thing. I mean, it's quite versatile. And I mean, I guess I would come back to the oven. I mean, I'm a fan of the deck style ovens. And, I think while we put a lot of pizzas through those ovens, so you have to be very careful, what you put through there. I have to believe there are things we can figure out how to do in the long run maybe during shoulder times or during off times, I mean, because it's a hearth, right? It's a hearth oven, so it's a really nice oven. So to me, I think what excited me more than anything is just the fact that it is truly, it's a blank slate in a lot of ways. The dough is a blank slate. You can do a lot of things with it. The oven's a blank slate. You can do some things with it, maybe not during service, but there's other things. So, I mean, it's ripe for innovation. So no crazy idea goes at least without a hearing, right? I mean, we may not activate on it, but the fact that we are shopping for ideas, we're shopping for creativity, we're creating a food culture. Those things, look, as a chef, you get excited about those things.
That's cool. So, excuse me, you say pizza is a blank slate, but consumers don't necessarily think of pizza as a blank slate. Like they want pepperoni on their pizza, or is it different at Mod? Because Mod's not a traditional pizzeria. They want a pepperoni pizza.
No, there's plenty of people that eat pepperoni. They can put a lot of pepperoni on it because you build your own, right? You can do it how you want to do it. I would say this, it's some staggering number, like over 90% of our pizzas, people that come in customize our pizzas, right? So we've got sort of the heroes on the menu, but I mean, the first time I used Mod or went to Mod, I ordered a hero. And you're like, well, why did I do that? There's a gazillion items on the deck. So people will come in and they'll enter the brand through the hero and then walk through the line and go, well, why didn't I put this, and this on it? So when you come back, you customize it. So in many ways, we are a blank slate. And especially if you're in the restaurant, it's not that you can't order online. You can order online and through our app, of course. And there, you can scroll through all the items and customize the way you want to as well. But there's something about standing in front of the ingredients and realizing you can put these things on it. I would say people probably use our brand as a blank slate, maybe more than others, because you're physically standing. You're like, I can put that on there. I can put that on there. I can put that on there. And
it's all the same price, right?
Yeah, that's right. You pay one price, exactly. I mean, now you can build Pizza Mountain, and we may sort of guide you and say, hey, listen, that's not going to cook very well, so you might not want to put 5,000 ingredients on there. But I mean, you can put a number of ingredients on there, and they're good. It's nice. This is also nice because we've got some cool, authentic things, like artichokes, and we've got anchovies, and we've got things that maybe bigger brands wouldn't necessarily have, which gives us an advantage and makes us feel a little bit more authentic.
How do you manage that?
I mean, yeah, let me tell you, no easy task. And we've looked at it, it's like, well, can you take this item off? Can you take this item off? And you can, but you end up saying, well, I mean, that's kind of an authentic ingredient, and should we take that off because people are coming to us for that, and that's what differentiates us. So it's very hard to take things off. But you're right. I mean, there's a lot of SKUs. I mean, you're building salads, you're building pizzas, so you've got a bunch of greens that you need. And hey, I love the greens. Like I said, I've got the arugula in the pocket. I love a pizza finished with arugula, I mean, and there are plenty of people that come that love that too. So it's great to have those things, but man, they're all SKUs, they're all fresh, they're living. You gotta move through them, you gotta keep them fresh, and it's a more complicated model.
Well, and you joined it at a particularly complicated time when it comes to supply chain stuff. So did that kind of suck?
Yeah. I mean, well, look, that sucked at Sonic. It sucked, I mean, that sucks for the industry, right? I mean, it really does. I mean, I guess I would say, even in the 9 months I've been here, some of the real chaos has sort of tamped down a little bit. And when I say chaos, I mean, like, you're out shopping for chicken, and I mean, I mean, you're in the industry, how chaotic it was, and that it's probably not quite as chaotic now. And the good news is we have some commodity price easing in certain areas, and other areas no, but so maybe it's a little less chaotic. But yeah, I mean, it's chaos, or it can be chaos. And especially because we don't can a lot of artichokes domestically, so you're bringing products in from overseas, and so there's other complications there as well. But hey, we've been able to keep everything on. It's not that you don't have spot outages; everybody does, but largely we've been able to keep everything on the deck.
And are customers like receptive to if something is not there?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think you largely find that across the industry. People are fairly forgiving, they know that we're all under pressure, especially in certain areas. And as I say, I think the good news is that some of that is easing a little bit, and so maybe I don't know, will people become less patient about it? I don't really know, but right now, I think the good news is most are, I mean, and yeah, it's like, hey, our favorite ingredient isn't there. We're sorry, they'll choose something else. And there's 40 ingredients on the deck that you can choose from.
And you said 90% of people customize.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's a really big number, and I believe I heard that it's over 90% of people that come in will customize in some form or another. I
Even though
mean,
you guys are you still doing that thing where you give the hero pizzas human names like Kevin and Frida?
yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah. The heroes have names. That's right. The heroes have names.
And that's still the case.
That's still the case. Yeah,
I like
that's right.
that.
That's right.
As the guy who's developing these heroes, does it get frustrating when you're like, hey, I
Maybe we
created
need the Brett and the Scott.
well, that's up to you to develop, although I'm sure the marketing team also determines the names of
Hey, I live in the marketing department.
Oh, okay. But is it frustrating or something that you develop these new pizzas and then everyone customizes them, or that you just know that's part of it?
No, not at all. I mean, we developed. We've got the Super Shroom out now. It's just coming. It's just coming to an end. And that was a flavor extension, the Super Shroom, which is a mushroom sauce that goes on. So we have a hero build for that: mushroom sauce, cheese, mushrooms, sausage, spinach, little rosemary. It's a delicious pizza. But no, I mean, if somebody puts something else on there, I mean, maybe you have to be a little more conscious about not putting crazy things on there. I mean, something that not you don't want to put something crazy on there that's just not going to go with something on the deck, right? So I would say, but no, I don't think that's not a frustration. I mean, that's just an awareness. You go in and you say, all right, listen, we got to build a hero pizza for this. Well, maybe we shouldn't put anchovies on, or whatever it is, right? Because it may not. First of all, that's going to be polarizing anyway. But no, I mean, largely, yeah, you're aware, and you say, hey, and there might be an ingredient that's like, well, it may not do well with this, but buyer beware. But no, I mean, it doesn't. You're aware of it, but you're not like handcuffed by it. No.
When Maud introduced the shroom, I thought, oh, it's another mushroom item from Scott, because of course you did the slinger at Sonic, which
Guilty.
was
I'm a mushroom guy.
yes, and that was a blend, obviously, of ground beef and mushrooms.
Yeah, that was a blend. Gosh, I was just talking about that recently about that. I mean, and as we look into the future and do innovation, we've got sausage and ground beef and got sort of those usual suspects on there. But I'd love to play. I'd love to play in that world again if I get the opportunity to do it, because I mean, it's so umami. The Super Shroom pizza was like a umami bomb. I mean, it's umami on umami and deliciousness. And I mean, look, cheese and mushrooms. I mean, oh my gosh, I mean, you can't go wrong. But I love, well, I mean, I love mushrooms, but I love the idea of using them as an ingredient. And yes, I mean, we started out at Sonic with, hey, it's a health or a sustainability play, those things. But really, at the end of the day, it was a flavor play. I mean, it was a super flavorful burger patty.
So there's a lot of plant-based protein out there.
We have one. We have one we have one in our portfolio.
I figured you would. In fact, I probably reported on it when you added it.
Probably.
They've all done that.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing more fungus-based protein being introduced.
Yes.
Mushroom dressed up as meat, and
yes,
for me that's exciting. Because
yes, agree. Totally agree. I mean, you see some of the pulled mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tasted any of those things? I mean, they're flipping amazing. They are amazing. Really, really good, like barbecue. And, I mean, and I think the great thing there is it's not trying to be something it's not, right? It's like, hey, listen, I'm a mushroom, I'm a barbecued mushroom, and I'm delicious. So, I mean, it's an item we have. It's an item that at some point I'd love to get around to. And I think it's ripe for innovation. And I mean, anything that you do whether it's a mushroom or it's a meat analog or whatever, anything you can do to flavor that up. I would say the hardest thing when we looked at some of those at Sonic or even at Canyon Ranch, we looked at some of those. The hardest thing was in its naked form. It's really a challenge, right? To me, the meat analogs are really a challenge. But if you make it into a sausage or a pepperoni and some of those things that you see out there now that are highly spiced, highly flavorful, they're actually really good. And the mushroom piece, to me, then the talking point is it's sort of this natural ingredient as well that's highly flavorful and spiced. So I think that is probably the future,
Something to look forward to. So and with these pocket pies, that's what they're called, right?
Yeah.
So you have 3 builds, but obviously people can do whatever they want with them. I mean, can't they just say, I want a pizza and then please turn it into a pocket for me?
Yes, they can. We built them very specifically so they fold well, so the flavors go together. I mean, look, can somebody say, could you not put pepperoni in there? Yeah, of course. I mean, you do get to the point where you can't fold it anymore. I mean, so we had a lot of conversations around that. And look, it's designed for the optimal eating experience. Can you customize it? You can. My hope is that people will try it. I mean, it's fine if you want to take something out because you don't eat it or whatever. I totally get that. My hope is that you would try it as it is. And look, if you want to throw something in there, I mean, we're not in the business of saying no, but we certainly would prefer that people would try it as it was. The answer is sure. And even a guest could fold it themselves if they want to do it. But it's also a specific bake. We're asking for a light bake, so a little bit lighter bake. Now, I mean, it's only because it's a little easier to fold. It's a little easier to eat. It's not as crunchy or, as a pizza. So, there are procedures that are involved in the pocket pie that we don't necessarily do with a pizza. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Somebody could come in and do that for sure. But the heroes were built specifically for the flavor, the performance, and the operational procedure is most conducive to fold it and to eat it, in the best and have the best experience.
Well, I would guess that you did market tests of it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, obviously. So, I guess people were responsive because, positive way, because you're rolling it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we test it. You got to test it with our team, with the squad, to make sure that people are comfortable with it, understand it, and understand the differences and the nuances and why we might say, hey, look, why don't you try it this way?
And that it doesn't break your restaurant. That operationally, it's
operational. Yeah, I mean, operationally, the hardest thing is when people do put a lot of stuff on a pizza, and it's sort of inherently difficult to deal with and work with. But yeah, I mean, no, we had to make sure that it didn't upset the apple cart operationally. And I mean, some of the things we do, I mean, we finish our pizzas with sauces. There's a litany of sauces you can on the expo table. You can ask for sauces on there, and including things like hot honey and barbecue sauce and pesto and ranch and all these other things. But I mean, here we're finishing with specifically ranch, on the chicken bacon ranch. It's a finished sauce, and we're finishing it with the red sauce on the Italiano. So yeah, I mean, there are some differences, and I mean, it's anything that you do that's a little outside of the norm for an operation can always be challenging. But no, I mean, we found it to be delicious. We found it to execute. Once we get the hang of it, we can execute it, and people responded well. It have responded very well.
Well, that's great. And we are about out of time, but you have the opportunity to now say whatever you want. What's going on in the future, or what's on your mind, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, look, platform innovation. Stay tuned, and believe me, you'll be the first to know on other things. We've got a few other things locked and loaded. I think you'll see some exciting things, and it's very interesting. I'll just close by saying again, it's very interesting to be working on things that you're testing these things and having the conversations around, hey, is this part of the menu? And so we have more of those things in the pipeline across the whole menu. So it's exciting, and stay tuned.
that's what I'm going to do. Thank you so much, Scott Uehlein, for taking the time to hang out.
Thank you, Brett. I appreciate it. Always great to see you.
Well, I hope we get to do it in real life soon.
We will.
I'm sure.